In this tutorial, you will learn how to texture a character in Blender 3.4. You will learn how to use various nodes to enhance the look of your character. You will learn how to use procedural dirt to add detail to your character. You will learn how to use two different textures and blend them together to enhance the look of your character. This tutorial is taught in a step-by-step fashion where I try to explain not just what I'm doing, but why I'm doing what I'm doing. Thanks for looking at this tutorial, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hi, this is Ali Arango. I'm going to show you how to put textures on a character in Blender 3.4. So let's get started. Okay, what you see in front of you is the result of a bunch of other tutorials. I'll put some links in the description so you can get to those tutorials. Okay, this isn't going to be super detailed as far as texturing. The way I learned how to do this is from a YouTube channel, at least largely, not all of it, but largely Pixel CG. So if you want to learn more about this process, I recommend you go to that YouTube channel and check that out. Okay, what we're about to do is go to a public domain texture resource website and download some free textures to use. You don't have to do this to get textures. You can get textures from making them up your own in different image manipulation programs. You can also take pictures of cloth yourself. This is the way we're going to go for now. Okay, what you see in front of you is the texture site that I was telling you about. I'm going to click here. And we can see these different textures here. So what I'm going to do is go to search, and I'm going to search for cloth. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to click here. For what we're doing, I'm just going to use the 1K texture. So I'll left click to download there. I'll grab this. So right now we have two cloth textures, this green material as well as this cloth material here. We'll take this leather material here. And we'll stick with that for now. Okay, here we are back in Blender. As far as texturing characters, as Blender gets more and more advanced, it gets easier to do this. This used to be a lot more difficult than it is currently. So what I did was just roll my mouse wheel to zoom in. So I'm looking at the boot that we have right here. And currently this boot is very high as far as its polygon count. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold shift, press D, right? I duplicated this boot. I'm going to press B to have that duplicate go right into the original position it was in. Now I'm going to press the M key. I'm going to select new collection, and I'm going to name this high poly. I'll then press enter, then OK. And then when we look over here on the outliner, we can see here's this where the high poly asset went. So we did that so we can use Remesh to lower down the polygon count for the boot. So I duplicated the boot, right? And I took the duplicate and put it in the collection named high poly. So what we're going to do is use Blender's remesh ability to lower down the polygon count. So with this selected, I'm going to go to Looks like a square to where we see viewport display. I'm going to select wireframe so you can see, there's the polygon count. It's very high. We're going to go to scope mode. Okay, what we're going to do is go back to edit mode. We're going to press A to select everything. We're going to press P to bring up our separate menu. We're going to choose loose parts. So the boot was made up of multiple parts. We just separated the individual parts into their own object. We're going to go back to object mode now. Okay, what we're going to do is go to, looks like a green triangle to me. We're going to click here, right? We're going to use Blender's, in a sense, this is like auto retopology. Typically, retopology is a way that you lower down polygon count, particularly to use on characters that you mainly want to use for animation. This is Blender's. Normally you do this manually. This is Blender's automatic way of doing it. The automatic way is not as good as somebody manually doing it. However, for objects that don't tend to have a lot of bending movements in them, like a boot, this should work out fairly well. This current number, it says number of faces is 4,000. This is the default number for Quad Remesh. I'm going to lower this down to 1,000 because I don't want the polygon count to be too high on this. Okay, with this number set, we'll select Quadriflow Remesh. What? Okay, we'll set this back to 1,000 again. We'll select OK. There we go. Looks good to me. I left-clicked on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to select here. Pretty sure this is going to malfunction. If you go to Quad Remesh and you get a malfunction, like most likely what's going to happen. So this is basically saying the normals aren't correct, is what that error message said at the bottom of the screen. So you can go to voxel, typically when this happens. Voxel, the difference between voxel and Quad Remesh, voxel typically doesn't give you as good as a auto retopology for animation. However, it should fix the issue that we just had, so we'll just select voxel remesh. It does that, and you can kind of like see how like this is like not even like this is. See how the squares are even here. See how there's like all this like stuff here. However, because we did the voxel remesh, we should be able to go to here, Quad Remesh, and then select OK. And now we have that, which is excellent. And that is a better topology. Okay, we're going to select here, do pretty much the same thing. We're going to go to Quadriflow Remesh, select OK. So now we have the remesh on that. So now we'll select here, right? We'll go to Quadriflow Remesh. We're going to take this up to 2,000. Reason why we took this up to 2,000 is see how this is like pretty much straight. This is pretty basic. See how we have like this detail here. So we took the polygon, we took the number of faces count up to compensate for extra details. With that done, we'll select OK. Looks good. Okay, with that done, we'll take this wireframe off, the setting for the different pieces of the boot. We'll select the pieces, right click, then select Shade Smooth. Okay, well, we're here, we'll select this sole. We'll turn the wireframe on. We'll go down to the green, Quadriflow Remesh. This is on 4,000. All right, if yours isn't on 4,000, set it back to 4,000 if you're working with a very similar model. To this, you're going to select OK. Okay, so we'll go here and then we'll turn off that wireframe. Then we'll select here, right click and select Shade Smooth. I'm going to select here, almost forgot about this piece. select here. We're going to go to quad. We won't turn on the wireframe. Let's try 1,000. Not bad. Okay, I want to show you this. When we look at these pants, right? And I click on the pants and I click here. These already had the polygon count is not bad for pants with wrinkle detail like that. So these should be fine as far as working with, as far as putting textures on. This right here actually has a multi-resolution modifier. The multi-resolution modifier will work with putting textures on here. This is the actual detail in here, which is extremely low. Okay, so what we're going to do is click here to select that. What we're going to do now is go to the folder with our textures that we downloaded and make sure that they are extracted. Okay, what you see in front of you is the downloaded files from the folder from the website. So I'll select here, and then I'll select extract all, extract, click here, right click, extract all, extract, select here, right click, extract all, extract. Okay, here we are back in Blender. I'll take the hand to pan up. We'll go to shading viewport. I'll zoom back, hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan up, hold the middle mouse button to rotate, hold shift, press B to draw a zoom box to zoom in to the boot. With the boot selected, I'll go to, if I click here or go to here, if I click new here or new here, this pretty much does the same thing. I prefer going here, so I'll select new. Okay, before we begin texturing, you're going to want to go to the upper part of your screen, go to Edit, down to Preferences, and then you're going to go into Add-ons. You're going to search for something called the Node Wrangler. You're going to put a check mark next to that, and that will allow you to do what I'm about to show you. You'll need to turn that add-on on. When I say add-on, this is something that comes with the default version of Blender. This isn't something that you download Blender, then have to go to a separate place, download, and then turn that on. This is inside of Blender. Called an add-on, but you just put a check mark next to the name of it to turn it on. Okay, there is something else we have to do. I almost forgot. So we need to UV unwrap these different pieces. We're going to use Blender's auto unwrap to do this. Again, if you did it manually, it would be better. However, this will work as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift and select the different pieces of the boot. And basically what we can do is we can UV unwrap, auto UV unwrap all of this together. Did I get this piece here? There we go. So what we'll do is we'll go to this. These tabs up here are tabs that make things easier for us. We could actually go to UV another way, but the easiest way to get to set up for UV editing is here. So we'll select that. I'll zoom back, hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Then I'll hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'll hold shift, press B, draw a zoom box to zoom in. What I'm going to do is press A to select everything. I'm going to press, whoops, U. Nope, I didn't want to do that. U. I pressed I by accident. I'm going to press, U brought up this UV mapping menu. I'm going to select Smart UV Project. And this is Blender's auto way of doing auto UV unwrapping. So now we have this boot unwrapped. Again, if you did this manually, it would be better. However, this should be enough to get the job done. We'll go back to shading now. Okay, what we're going to do is click on this one part of the boot here. With that Node Wrangler turned on, and this is very neat what this is about to do. I'm gonna hold Control, hold Shift, press T. Right, this menu pops up. I'll go to where my texture is at. So I'm going to texture the folder that I have the textures we downloaded from the website. I'll click here. I can just press A, and with press A, Blender will take what it needs and ignore what it doesn't need. All right, so we'll just select this principled shader, and then pretty much all of the correct setups were done for us. So basically, this is the base color here. This is a roughness. This determines how shiny the boot basically is. This normal gives the boot depth. That works with this normal map. And then this displacement works with depth as well. Typically, when you put the texture on, it'll be too big. This right here is a mapping texture. Here's a texture coordinate and then mapping. This is very important, this scale here. So what I'm going to do is take this up to 4. So I took the 4 up only on the X, right? So now what I can do is left click and drag down, let go, and then left click. And then what I did is when I left clicked on the 4 and dragged down, that 4 was applied to the Y and Z. Very useful to know that, rather than, and if I didn't do that, I would have to click, put 4, click, put 4. It's nice. It gets old quick putting individual numbers in. Okay, now what I can do is I can go to the different pieces, right, that I want, select them, and then I'm holding shift as I'm doing this, by the way. I'll select this last. Now what I'll do is I'll hold control, press L, and then I can select link materials, and now you can see that basically set up everything for the rest of our boot, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and add this in there. I was thinking about doing this a different color, but I'm going to hold shift, click here, hold control, press L, select link materials, and now that boot is textured. Okay, I'm going to roll back, take the hand and pan down, select the pants, select new. We have this printable shader. We'll select the printable shader, hold Control Shift T. Looking for the blue jean material, we'll select A to get all the materials. We'll select there. So this came in, right? I forgot to unwrap it. We'll go to, you can do this after the fact. We'll press A, U, Smart UV Project, OK. Back to shading. And you'll see like this is applied. Typically it'll be too big. You'll zoom back, go to the scale. This will vary, but I'm going to use 4. Left click, drag this down, and now we have the jeans textured. Okay, we'll hold shift as well as middle mouse button pan. We'll select here. Go to UV editing, select the hand to pan. The hand panning is just shift and the middle mouse button, and dragging is pretty much the same thing as selecting the hand and pan down. I'm going to press A to select everything, press U, Smart UV Project, select OK. I'm going to go back to shading. I'm going to, with this selected, select new. Zoom back, and then select the printable BSDF. Okay, very similar to before. This selected, we'll hold Control Shift T. Select A, printable shader. This comes in, much too big. We'll zoom back. Look for this scale. Try 4. Let's see. I don't know. That when I do 4, it just changes on the x-axis. So we left click, drag this down, and then left click. Still too big. Let's try 15 for this. Drag this down. Looks decent. Okay, one of the things when you look at this, see how there, like it's the textures on there. However, there's no patterns of lightness or darkness. Basically, no dirt. Don't think like heavy dirt, but even like light dirt. Like this is all the way things look here. It's probably pretty much how it looks like everywhere. So we can change that fairly easily. So I'm rolling my mouse to zoom back. I'm gonna hover here, hold shift, press A. I'm going to search for texture coordinate. We'll put that there. I'm going to press shift A. Then I'm going to search for Musgrave. Put this here. I'll press shift A. Then I'll search for color ramp. Oops. What did I do wrong? Okay, there we go. Color ramp. Okay, I'm going to hold shift, press A. I'm going to search for a mixed shader. So we have these things set up here. What we want to do now is we're going to put our attention on this principal BSDF, right? Also this output. So I'm putting up the output because eventually this is going to plug in here. So from this principal, what we want to do is we want to go to, I'm zooming in so hopefully you can see, we're going from the UV of the texture coordinate to the vector of the Musgrave texture, from the height to the factor of the color ramp, from the color of the color ramp is going into the factor. We're going to disconnect the principal BSDF from the material surface, put that into the top shader. This looks black because there's no colors going into this currently. Okay, what we want to do now is I'm going to pull this back. And again, these are the main things you want to focus on. There's a bunch of other nodes on the screen. You don't need to be concerned about them at this point. I'm going to hold shift, press A. I'm bringing in another principled BSDF. I'm going to go to the base color. I'm going to make this black. This is basically going to make our dirt, not black, dark, whatever dark color it is. I'm putting this into the bottom shader. And then what I'm going to do is go from the mix shader to the surface of our material output. Really can't see much right there yet. Okay, to adjust our dirt, what we're going to do is select this color ramp. And then while it's selected, we're going to hold Control, hold Shift. And what that did is that set up things so we can see directly what's happening with this. So to control these patterns, you can use a bunch of different sliders in this Musgrave. I'm going to increase the scale like that. You can also move the handles to the left or right as far as the to control how you want things to be. For this principal BSDF, I want to change this to a dark color. Okay, then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click the mix shader, and then while it's selected, I'm going to hold Control Shift. Now I'm going to left click on it. So now what you can see, hopefully, is you can see like these, there's like dirt. I don't know how well you can see that. If I click on the white here, and I take this up, hopefully you can see that more. If I want to make this, fade out, this being these pieces of dirt, what I can do is click on the white and then bring this down, make this darker. And by making this darker, the dirt pretty much almost fades away, so you can control it. So not sure how well you can see that, but I'm making it darker and then not as dark. I'm zooming back, so it's a little more than I want. So I'll click, take this down some. I don't want it to be a very standout effect. Let's add some ambient occlusion to this. I'm going to click on this render properties. I'm going to turn on ambient occlusion. This is so we can see things better as far as here. I'll take this distance up to like 1.2. So see like the shadows here, so it should be, yeah, you can see like, particularly like here, what this looks like with the ambient occlusion on. This is mainly for this viewport, just helping to see what's going on. Okay, with these dirt patches, one of the things you're going to want to do with this principled shader is turn down your specular, turn your roughness all the way up. Okay, I want to put some dirt on the pan. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan up. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back on the top clothing, zoom back. I'm going to select texture coordinate, hold shift. So I'm still holding shift. I'm selecting all of the things I want to copy and bring over. So I selected, 5 nodes here. I'm going to hold control, press C, select the pants, left click here, and then I'm going to hold control, press V to bring these. So these are all brought over now. Drag this to the side. Okay, so with this, we need to look to our principled shader. We'll pull this up. I'm going to move this principled shader over here to kind of make that less confusing. We need to grab the material output. I'll move this over here. So this is this principled shader is what's making the main colors for here. I'm going to disconnect this from surface, put that into the top shader, and then go from this the mix shader to the surface. Okay, as far as like the pattern that was on there for the dirt is on here for the dirt is now on there. If you want to see what's going on, you can select color ramp, hold control, hold shift, and this will show you. And then to get back, you can hold control shift. So now you're back to that regular view. Okay, so we have the textures, we have the dirt. Let's go back to this shirt right here, right? Suppose we want to put some color variation in the shirt, right? One of the issues I used to have before when I would work with clothes is I would try to control the textures of the clothes by the selected geometry as far as actual applying the colors, which gives you weird sharp edges and all that. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is use masks to control things. So what we're going to do is we're going to look to the right to where we see materials, right? What we're going to do is we're going to click to add a new material, right? We're then going to click new for this new material. So this is where we're going to get our color variation. I'm going to click back on this material 2, right? What I'm going to do is on the original color that we've already worked on, that we already put the dirt on, I'm going to hold shift, press A. I'm then going to search for an image texture. So here's the image texture, right? So what I want to do, once I have this image texture up, is we're going to select new. And what we're doing here is we're setting up our mask. So we're going to name this alpha mask, right? Once you put this alpha mask in for the name, you want to select OK, right? With this selected, you're going to go up to texture paint. And basically what's going on here is wherever we paint white, you'll see through the green that's already on the shirt, right? Wherever you paint black, but this is already black, but if you wanted to like paint green and then have like a stripe here in color, you would paint black. So basically to see your mask, without trying to confuse you, you want to paint white. So just think about painting white right now. What I am thinking of is I want to have like the arms, maybe the bottom of this piece of clothing be changed. So to make this easier, I'm gonna click there. Okay, I can't see now, so maybe that's not easier. I'm going to paint white here. What's nice about this is because I'm using this to control the color, I don't need to be concerned about the hard lines of the actual cloth. You might be like, why is he saying that? That's you can very easily select material and color just what's selected. However, it's difficult to control. So go there. So remember, whenever I color white, I'm basically making a way to look through or past the other material. And a mouse button to rotate. See, when I colored here, can I? Nope. Okay, so I need to color black there, and I can make it. You can make it easier to control color, and by clicking this button and then selecting geometry. I don't think I'm gonna get into that because I'm gonna keep this simpler. I learned how to do this stuff currently from Pixelica CG. He does an excellent job. If you want to learn more about this, and he goes into more advanced things than what I'm doing here, you can check out his channel. His videos on this stuff are spectacular. So I have white here, so what I'll do is I'll go to black to get rid of that, so I don't want this showing through. That one on the other arm. Okay, here I want the color here as well. Masks are nice because you can come back and adjust them as well. Okay. Okay, so once you have a mask painted, this is very important. Do not forget this. You need to go to image. On the other side, see this image here? See the little asterisk there? That means this is not saved. You'll click image. You'll go to save as, right? Make a new folder. Alpha mask. You want to save this to be able to use this correctly. Okay, so with that done now, I'm going to go back to shading, right? So this is our original texture here, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to press A to copy everything you see here. Actually, that's not good. I don't want to copy this. I'm going to press B for box select and select everything. There we go. Zooming back just so I can easily see this. So I have everything but the image texture selected. I'm going to hold Control, press C. Now I'm going to go to this other material that we made. I'll select the wondering why I don't see, oh, there's nodes right there. Okay, I'm going to left click here, hold Control, press V. You don't need this stuff because we already have this. So I'll delete that. Okay, what I'm going to do is move this to the side. What I want to do is we want to work with right here. So here's the textures. This is going into the base color here, right? So what I want to do is I want to hold Shift, press A. I'm going to go to color and bring in RGB curves, right? Currently, this is on top. These are basically the same. They're two separate materials, but they're made up of the same things with the exception of this RGB curves I brought in. I want to push this up, which will make this lighter. You won't see this because of this material .002. I'm going to delete this. However, this will still be available to us. I'm not getting rid of the work we did on the other one, this 2. I'm just getting rid of this now temporarily so we can see when I push the RGB curves up. Because if I do it now, nothing's going to happen, right? So I'll select the 2, select minus, right? Now I'll select the RGB curves. We can see this is brighter now, right? I am also going to hold shift, press A, go to color, saturation value. This will let us adjust the hue of the color. Okay, I would like to change the color a slightly different shade of green. So what I'm going to do is go to this hue, change the slider and watch. There we go. All right, so now with this done, what we'll do is we'll select here. We'll go back to that. Actually, I'm wrong. Sorry. We're going to select all of this stuff. Hold Control, press C. We're going to go back to the material 2 that I said I was temporarily getting rid of. I'm going to hold Control, press V to paste this in. Okay, so what we have here is this group here, which is the lighter color, this group here, which is darker color, this being lighter green, this being darker green. This is the image texture. Here's the material output. I know it's probably super small. Let me zoom in. I want it zoomed out so I can show you easier way to make this easier to work with. So I'm going to zoom in. So here's this material output. We'll click there. Press X to delete that, so we don't need that. Zooming out. So again, we have this group here, then this image texture here, right? Okay, we need another mix shader. I'm going to hold Shift, press A, search for mix. There's the mix shader. So I'm going to press A to select everything, A to deselect. Oh, left click on nothingness, deselect. I'm going to press B for box select. Select this here. Hold Shift, press P. Just learned how to do that from a Canon Prophet short. He's a YouTube creator, makes very good YouTube videos. He just saw a thing the other day. He had a short, very useful. You select everything, Shift P, let you have a frame. And okay, so once you have this frame, what you can do is you can change the color by pressing the N key, right? So see, we're on node. So in the N menu popped up. We're on node. I'm gonna click here, and then with this, that's interesting. There we go. Make this a lighter shade of green. I'm selecting this, pushing this way out there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A to select everything, left click on nothing, and that's to select nothing. Selecting everything but the output there, I'll hold Shift, Shift P. I'll select this color, make this a darker color, green. Makes things easier for us to work with, I think. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so I can move this. The image. This is our alpha color there. This is our mix shader. This is the material output that pretty much everything is going to be plugged into. I'm going to zoom in. I'll pull this over inside of the frame. And then with that done, what we want is for this is the main color here that you see here. All right. This line is going to the principal shader. I want to plug this into the top spot on the mix shader. This is the alternate color. I'm going to plug that into the bottom spot. This alpha mask, I'm going to plug this into the fact. And then this material output, I'm going to go from the shader to the surface. And now you can see the result there. I'll hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'll roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, I'm going to hold Shift as well as middle mouse button to pan down, zoom into the face. I'll select the face, select New. I'll hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button. I had to roll back to be able to see the principal shader. For this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one type of flesh color. there. I'm going to hold shift, press A, search for a Veranoid texture, put that there. Okay, I'm going to hold shift, press A, I'm going to search for bump. Bring this in. I'll go from the bump distance to height. And then from the normal, I'll go from normal to normal. We see this right here. So what we'll do is we'll increase the scale, take it way up, and then with the scale up, we'll go here, we'll change this to 0.01. Okay, too much. 0.1. I'll take this scale up more. Even more. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do now is select this neck, hold shift, select here, select this that has a material on there last, I'm going to hold control, press L, and then I'm going to select link materials. So now these have the same materials as the face. Okay, I'm going to select an eye, select new, and then with this I'm going to take the roughness down, take the specular all the way up. Click on the face, just to have a shine on the eyes. Okay, the face is all one color. So very similar to what we did here. What we can do is, this is a high poly mesh. However, even with it being high poly, this isn't ideal. I want you to know though, you can come in, press U to go to your UV mapping, select Smart UV. And then with that done, even to that high poly mesh, now you can do like we did before to add some variation and just to mix up this color. Okay, so what I'm talking about is very similar before. We hold shift, we press A, we'll search for texture coordinate, shift A, Musgrave texture, shift A, color ramp. Okay, I'll hold the middle mouse button to pan. We'll do shift A and mix shader. We'll bring that in. Okay, so for the texture coordinate, we want to go from UV to vector, from height on the Musgrave to factor. And then for this, we're going to go color to factor. We're going to go from the printable shader is going to go on the top. Shift A, we'll search for printable BSDF. Okay, we'll turn this to a darker color. We'll put this in the bottom, hook this shader up to surface. We can see the Musgrave texture there. We'll increase the scale. And what we can do is we can adjust things by moving the sliders to make that not as noticeable. We'll click on this white house and then we'll bring this down some to see, so we can see clearly. We can left click here, hold control, hold shift, make our adjustments. Click here, hold Control Shift. Taking a look at it. Okay, we're going to quickly put a texture on the hair. When we select the hair, this hair was made from curves. We can see that by this curve symbol here. So what we need to do is go to Object, convert to Mesh. Select here, we can see it's curves, Object, convert to Mesh. Here, still curves, Object, convert to Mesh. And I'm saying still curves because these are separate objects, by the way. I think this is the last one, Object, convert to Mesh. So hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view, then zoom back. Okay, now that this is a mesh, what we can do is select this. We're on Materials, we'll select New. What we're going to do is hold Shift, press A. We'll bring in a noise texture. We'll select this, hold Control, press T. By pressing Control T, because of the Node Wrangler add-on, mapping node was brought in, as well as the texture coordinate was brought in. A Node Wrangler add-on is an add-on that comes default with Blender. I talked about it earlier in this tutorial. Okay, I'm gonna hold Shift, press A, search for bump, bring in a bump map. I'll connect the factor to the height, and then I'll connect, not that, want this to go to bump map is going from normal to normal of the principled shader. So that's what we have there so far. So we can go to this mapping scale. The Y, we'll take that up. 25 around. For the bump, I'm going to change this to 0.1. I'm going to select this hair, hold Shift, select that, that. I'm still holding Shift. Well, let go of Shift. I have all these selected first. Okay, need to select this. Now this last, you can tell this is selected last because it's highlighted a different orange rather than that. Now what I'm going to do is hold Control, press L. This brings up our link / transfer data. We'll select link material, so now they all have that material. Okay, we're going to press Shift A. We're going to bring in a gradient texture. It's right there near the top. You could search for a gradient texture, it would pop up if it wasn't there near the top. With this gradient texture, what we want to do is hold Control, press T. That brought in this texture mapping node. We're going to hold Shift, press A, search for color ramp, bring that in. So what we want to do is go factor to factor. The nodes, by the way, are color coordinated to help you out. like if you get confused as far as connecting things up. So with this color ramp, we need to connect the color to the base color to see it. So there's a color ramp there. Very similar to before. If we want to see mainly the color ramp, we can, the gradient texture, we can hold Control Shift and then left click, and that will let us clearly see the gradient texture. As far as changing the gradient, we can rotate this by going to the Y. And then we can go to the location of X and we can move this up and down. So I'll rotate this on the Y more. Then when we want to have the gradient texture go back to how it was before, we can hold Control Shift and select the gradient, the printable shader. Okay, as far as how much the gradient looks, we can adjust this with the sliders. We can also adjust the color. Now I don't for this character, I don't particularly want colored hair. I like it how it is. However, you would take the houses and change them to whatever color you want. This here doesn't have the texture, so I'll select this, hold Shift, I'll select on the hair that has the texture, hold Control, press L, and then the link/transfer data menu pops up. I'll select link materials. I'll left click on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to zoom out, select the hand for these unfinished hands. Put a texture on them. I can't currently select the hands. So what I need to do is go up to filter, select this arrow. You can see the arrow is not selected. When I select this, it lets me select the hand. So I'll select the hand, hold Shift, select the arm with the purpose of putting material on the hands. I'll hold Control, press L, link/transfer data menu pops up. I'll select link materials, and then now the color's on the hand. Okay, I'll zoom back. I'm going to look at the boots. I'm going to select the holes that the laces go through. I'll go to new, go to base color, select the color. Since it's small, I'm not going to add a lot of detail to it. I'll select the basic color, and I'm pretty much good with that. I'll select the laces themselves, select new, select the color, go into the side here to make the color darker. Okay, most of this time we've been in shading. I'm going to go back to layout. See everything without our colors here. We select here. If you want to see more the ambient occlusion more just when you're looking at it here, what you can do is go to here, and then for the ambient occlusion factor, you can take that from 1 to 2. And it make that much of a difference. When I put the color in the one hand, both hands were, is that a mirror on them? Yep, so they both got the color. I'm gonna zoom back. I'll hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to get a smooth zoom. And it jumped, it being Blender. There we go. Okay, when we look here and we see things like this, one of the things you can do for this is go to scope mode, go to inflate areas like that, come out of scope mode, back to scope mode. object mode, there we go. Okay, so we have our character textured. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. I hope you learned something. Doing these bunch of tutorials, I had not worked in Blender as far as doing a tutorial. I didn't do a tutorial for pretty much a year. These tutorials helped me to get back in the flow of doing tutorials, get used to using Blender again. So I think they, for the most part, they've served their purpose. For me, I wanted to do something with texturing to upgrade my texturing skills. I'm saying all this because I'm probably going to end this tutorial series here. I'm probably going to move on to something else. I'll probably do another tutorial series. I'm hoping to do it with higher quality. I know when I started off this, I did the head. The sound was a little off. It had been that long since I had done a tutorial that I really wasn't even used to doing the sound again. For all of those of you out there who watch videos on this channel and share them, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And if you like the videos on this channel, you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thanks for viewing.